Hey guys, welcome back to Empire Prints. Today we are making a 3/32 helmet from the Clone Wars. I'm doing the Revenge of the Sith style in that Phase 2 helmet. I won't be showing my sanding process as it's already painted white. It's very cold up here in the Midwest and it makes it very hard to record, very long drying times. Actually, when I'm wet sanding, I'll have water freeze. It's atrocious. It is so cold up here, but after giving this thing a couple days to dry, we're finally ready to tape it up with some frog tape. I love this stuff. You get really clean lines, and then an X-Acto blade. This is going to be really helpful. I would really recommend getting one of these so you can get nice clean edges where you want your paint job to be. So let's get into it. All right guys, we're officially on to the paint. Here is the design. Not too complicated of a design, but can be a little tedious to get these even. It can't be perfect. I'm eyeballing it. I did measure with a ruler. It might be off a little bit, but we are weathering this thing, and these were hand painted by the clones. So it's okay. Don't have to make it perfect. Don't spend too much time on this step. It will take a while, but you don't need to overdo it. Normally with weathering, you can kind of blend everything in. But here's the design. And then for the orange, I'm just using some Vallejo Orange Fire. It's the orange I had lying around, and it is pretty close, and we're going to be dyeing it down with some weathering anyways, so this will get a little bit darker, but that is the orange we're using. And then I use some airbrush flow improver. I'm just spraying this out of my Avanti airbrush. Nothing to it, nothing fancy. I'm pretty new to airbrushing, but you can use spray paint. I like how fast airbrush paint dries, especially in the really cold temperatures. This is a lot easier to use, but if you don't have an airbrush, spray paint works just fine. As I said, I'm very new to airbrushing, but it is really simple, and I think the key factor that really improved my airbrushing is getting a high quality air compressor. I got this Avanti one from Harbor Freight. It was like $120. And the air pressure is amazing. You don't have to thin your paints down as much as you think. You pretty much just want to get it to like a runny, milky consistency. And then I normally start with a very thin, just dust layer, and then I start to pack it on. What I've noticed, if you put it on too heavy, it will kind of start to bead up and run. So you want a nice thin coat to start, and then you can start laying it on pretty heavy. And this just makes painting like clone trooper helmet designs so much easier. I love how flat the airbrush colors are. You can get glossy colors or satin colors, but from what I saw in Revenge of the Sith, their helmets are very flat and plain, and they're just a lot easier to weather. I prefer the flat look, but you can go the gloss route as well. But I just love how easy it is for this to dry and how easy it is to weather airbrush paints. Now, I decided to switch up how I weather the paint. You still want it a little bit wet and sticky to the touch. Don't let it completely dry. I tried taking some frog tape to kind of stick and rip paint up. It wasn't really working. I don't think the frog tape has enough. Duct tape might work a little better. So I decided to drop the frog tape and go get some steel wool. Steel wool worked amazing. That I'm going to be using so much more often. It really rips up the orange paint a lot faster, and it gives almost like micro scratches, and it just builds up a nice layer of natural weather scratch. Because of the unevenness of the steel wool, everything is very random. You can scrape it across and it won't be too uniform. And then I come in with an X-Acto blade and just modify it a little bit, adding a couple more bigger scratches where I want it. Now, I don't know why I didn't pull off the tape sooner, but at this stage, I pulled up all the tape to get those nice clean lines. I was really happy. Didn't have any leaks, and if I did, I just come in with my X-Acto blade and I scrape up the airbrush paint. It is incredibly thin, so it's really, really easy to scrape away if you do have leaks. Coming back in with the X-Acto blade, I just wanted to touch up a couple more areas, and then I did use a little more steel wool. Steel wool will work on spray paint, but I think I would recommend using it when the paint is a little bit more sticky to the touch and not fully dry, and then use a little more when it's dry. It is a little bit more durable spray paint than airbrush paint, but the steel wool can still scrape away those edges and give a very natural form of weathering. Now, I don't normally tape up this gray brow line, but I wanted to try and get a more professional look. I wanted it to look very clean, no brush strokes, and I just wanted to airbrush it to see how it looks, and I couldn't be happier with the result. It's definitely something I'm going to do on future helmets. After airbrushing the gray, because of how thin this is, I, like always, hand painted the black brow line. I made sure to tape off all the areas so I didn't get any unnecessary brush marks or get any black on that gray. That gray turned out really good and I didn't want to mess it up. And then I just hand painted the frown area as well, and it turned out really good. Now on to the fun part of this helmet build. We are going to weather this thing up and make it nice and dirty and grimy, starting with our weather wash, which is just some black and brown acrylic paints. This is going to give it an initial kind of dirt layer that's built up over the whole helmet, make everything nice and uniform, which is exactly what we want. I like to tell a story with all my helmets. I like to make them extremely dirty and like they've seen battle. I like specifically the Revenge of the Sith look, where they have rust around the ears, dirt in all the cheeks and the back indentations. I just think it looks so good. These guys have been fighting for years, planet to planet, all over the place. These specifically were the 332nd, also part of the 501st. These guys have seen the front lines, especially in Mandalore. They were in sewers, they were all over the place, so they are going to be dirty, and I like to show that. I like to tell that story in all my helmets. It's so fun to do, and seeing the work after is like the best thing ever. Now we can start building up dirt in all the crevices. I start by using a mixture of black and brown with no watered down look. This is like just straight paint, and then I like to rub it in with my fingers. I just think it really builds up that natural dirt buildup in the crevices of the helmet. I think it looks really good. I do dab it with a paper towel first. Otherwise, because it's just straight paint, you tend to wipe it all over the place. That paper towel really helps wipe in with the finger, depending on how heavy you put the paint on. But I like to mix in some greens, some yellows, just some other colors in the crevices as well. This brings a much more natural dirt buildup. It just looks a lot more uniform and adds a little bit of color to that dirt. It's a little bit more of a realistic look, and I really, really like adding colors to it. It really starts to come together by this point. For that rusty look around the ears, I use a couple different colors. The first being a brown and red mixture. You just want to wipe that around the ear, dab a little bit with the paper towel, and then rub it in with your finger like the rest of the crevices we did. And then after that red-brown mixture, I take a brown and orange mixture, and I just wipe that over / kind of dab it over that red-brown. This kind of shows that more realistic rust buildup. It's a couple different colors and it looks really nice when you're done with it. You can use as much as you want around the ears or just a little bit. I was a little more refined in this build compared to my 501st build. There's just a little bit less rust buildup, and I like that look for this helmet. Now, I wanted a little bit more depth to the helmet, so I added some black scratches and scorch marks throughout the helmet. I just took a dry brush. You can take any brush with just a little bit of black paint on it, and you kind of just scrape it over in random areas. Try to be as ununiform as you possibly can. Then I took that same weather wash, but a little bit thicker with paint, and I built up a little bit more of a dirt layer in this gray back area. It just looked a little plain and unweathered, and I wanted some more detail to that. After our paint is done, we can come in with our details, which I just painted some flat black and some silver, and we can hot glue everything in. For the frown, I'm just using some chicken wire mesh. It is a real metal look, so you can get that realistic look to the helmet. And then I'm using an old Hobart face shield I have lying around. That is why it is so scratched up, but I think it really fits the look of the weathered helmet. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support and would really appreciate you guys subscribing. I put a lot of work into these builds, and your support means everything to me. I want to keep making content for you guys, new helmets, new videos. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.